functionality for the game is months away, 6 months away. I don't know, longer. I can't really commit to any kind of time frame for that. Hopefully, it's within a year, but uh, maybe not. But there's no reason that you guys can't get started if you're interested, of course, in learning about the possibilities of the new system. And it's a little more complicated. And I'm showing you guys how to do this stuff in Unity, right? You won't be doing that once this is included in the game. There'll be some type of interface, but you could still learn about how to take advantage of shaders, how to get the best results, etc., using Unity. Um, so ideally, it would be cool if possible. If you guys, if anybody creates new materials for some of this clothing we're releasing for us, if it was really great stuff, like I know you guys are capable of, we'd like to include it with our initial release, alpha release, which is happening in about 2 months. We're trying to get something out for you guys for the Academy. Uh, Not the Academy, I'm sorry, for the Uther Convention that happens every year. So before I go any further, are there any questions? No questions? Okay. So, all right, then we'll carry on here. So I'm going to switch over to the screen view. Start sharing my screen. So all of the clothing this time, the game development process has really changed, in the last, even in the last 5 years, but especially since we originally did. Let me grab this camera. Hold on one second. We originally did the Red Light Center Classic. Um, Everything was some stuff was actually purchased on the markets. Those original avatars were purchased from, I don't know, CG Trader or something. But this round, man, we've relied very heavily on purchased assets in an asset store, and we're just there's a wonderful confluence of events here that this Character Creator 3 system that we're using has a really rich asset store, and these models can be exported. Well, that's a really sexy outfit. It can be exported into Unity. So there's a huge library of content. Let me quit screwing around here. I was playing a joke on my animators today with this guy. You just load somebody else up here. But you can kind of see me scrolling through all these outfits, right? And there's just a zillion different. I'm not going to save it. I'm going to place everything. It'll take it a minute to load. It's a lot of data. But there's this incredible variety of clothing, and it's all kind of set up, and it works really nicely in Unity. You can export it. You guys are familiar with Curio and Oasis, yes? That was the follow-on project that was originally supposed to replace Red Light Center, and that's interesting. How long? And you guys are all long-time closet artists, right? 5 years or more? 8 years? Great. That's great. Damn, 13. Well, right on. That's great. Founders. So, well, okay. Well, so that was that was their follow-on project. 6 years. Great. And there only were, I don't know, 5 outfits or something, or 6. it's because this whole process used to be incredibly difficult, technically difficult to. Uh, yeah, you guys are all veterans. That's great. Um, it was a huge amount of work to try and do this kind of stuff, like to accept that, to rig a piece of clothing to an avatar, to then export that. And if we were creating the content ourselves, like some of the clothing models, not all of them, but some of them were modeled by us, it's just a much longer process, right? So somebody's super jumping. So because there's such a great library of content and stuff, we're really going with this now, even more so than the clothing, which we'll get into later, into how to do tattoos and stuff like that. If you can see here, there's the skin textures, the skin shaders are really, really good with this, right? And this stuff translates well right into Unity. So all this micro detail you can see here, Blender is compatible with Unity. That's correct. Um, this translates kind of directly right into the game world. And if you guys, I'm just in general, I would recommend this Character Creator 3. It's not super expensive, and but it's really a very cool way to create, different custom avatars. This particular outfit is made from a laser scanning, 3D scanning. So in terms of creating new materials, which is what this class is about, it looks like you could carefully kind of do this. Oh, come on. Let me start Photoshop there in the background. You might need a 3D paint program to really get the seams, but we're not going to cover that. We're just going to go there. Yes, you need to purchase the clothing content or whatever the accessories. So that's kind of where they get you. The application itself's not that expensive, but you're going to have to pay for anything that you use, right? And even each piece is not necessarily that expensive, like $5 or something. There's something that you guys could do though, is that this is what we've done for our corporate account, because we don't want to purchase this for every artist that needs to access this, because the export process is very involved and technical and complex. So what you can do is you can combine, if you buy, like, I think it's Character Creator, iClone. There's two or three programs of, they have a bunch of different programs. iClone's like their animation program, but if you buy those, you can combine those accounts together into one account, and then everybody can share content. You do lighting in iClone is their animation and rendering system, facial capture. So this version of the game, we're really trying to up the quality levels and the realism of the avatars, and part of that is using motion capture for everything. A lot of the animation, uh, a huge chunk of it for Red Light Center, is just hand keyframed animation that was done by artists down here in Brazil. But all the new stuff, it's going to be motion capture based and facial motion capture as well. And the facial motion capture system the fidelity is so good that if you capture a woman emoting like whatever, and you play those female animations back on a guy, I mean, it really comes across as an effeminate man. So we're really hoping to count on that. And one of the big dreams, one of the big things I'd like to see happen, would be the ability for you guys to, you'd need an iPhone for this, right? Because it has a built-in facial capture system called ArcHit. You guys could stream facial animation right into the game along with your voice to control your avatar. But that's more Yeah, yeah. So that would be cool, and that's a big part of it. So, um, and I can even show you some of that stuff. Maybe not today, but maybe I can show you tomorrow if you want to see. But just now, I'm going to stop just for now and see if there any questions before I move on. Any questions? Okay. Um, okay. So I'm going to go over then just again what I did yesterday. I don't think repetition is a bad thing in this case because you know the Unity editor is it's a complex piece of software, but I'm really confident you guys can learn it and use it. So I'm just going to start from scratch. I'm going to delete this project. So inside of the class1.zip file that has the password Klaatu, there's this outfits URP file that contains the actual project data the for Unity for us to play around. So you just want to unzip that, extract that. There's also a installation video. There's a how-to video on how to install the Unity Hub software, how to create an account, how to uh, download and install the correct version of the Unity editor for us as well. Yeah, did you guys saw the how-to videos, right? That are in the zip file? Okay, so next step would be we're going to open Unity Hub, which is kind of like the launcher. So you can, because you can have multiple Unity projects. I have multiple Unity projects here. Like this is the game. That's the actual game development version of the game. Oh shit, I started it. You can't click on that. Okay, so we'll watch this start, then I'll show you how to add the project that we just unzipped so we can do stuff with it. Yeah, you could just use that's just a zip file. I'm just using the 7Z program because it's faster than the regular zip that's built into Windows. I'm assuming you guys are all running on Windows, right? This is the part that, like any serious computer graphics endeavor these days, it's all about waiting for the computer. Yeah, it'll try to install a default version of Unity. There's a specific website you can go to. So this is kind of the game, like one of the interiors. This is the actual game. If you ever wanted to see um, all the stuff that's down in the assets folder, right? But we're not here to look at this today, so I'll shut that. All right, so we're going to add our new outfit project to the hub. So we say, come up to open, click here, add project from disk. Other versions of Unity uh, might actually work with this. Probably would if it's, but we want you to use our exact version to eliminate any possibility of incompatibility from anything you guys create or want to use, deliver to us. So I selected where I long ago, many minutes ago, had unzipped that outfits URP project. So now I just click on it in the hub and it's going to start. That's the version you want, 2020.3.25 F1. Okay. Nope, it's always 2020.3.25 F1. Okay, so we'll just go over this again. It's a complicated piece of software, just like Photoshop. It's complicated, I know. You guys are all familiar with Photoshop, right? You're Photoshop users? So even Photoshop has a it's an old it has a complicated in some ways. There's some features that are difficult to go to, like the whole thing in terms of um, adding a mask to your layer, right? And dealing with layer mask, super important, super functional part of Photoshop. But you know what? You have to alt click on the little thumbnail in the layer view to pull up your layer mask and do stuff. So this is kind of the similar thing. It's a big complex piece of software, a lot of stuff. You're going to look at it and it's going to be, oh my God, what am I looking at? It's just nothing but tabs and menu items and stuff. But um, it's very learnable, and I have the most faith in you guys that you're going to, if you find this interesting and engaging, which I think you will, you can learn it incrementally. I mean, it's the way I've done it. I'm by no means a Unity expert. I'm not even probably even intermediate. And I learn something every day with it, or anytime like I work with more experienced people and ask questions and learn something every day. So I think you guys can do it too. And I just want to give you a pep talk and kind of build you up. You can do this. If I could do it, you could do it, type of thing. All right, so let's get into this instead of talking endlessly. Um, there's a there's a bunch of tabs here. We're going to start here in the middle. This is the scene tab, and this is like the 3D view of your project, of your scene. We're in a scene right now, and you can manipulate and do stuff in here with your mouse, like if left clicking selects objects, right? Um, if you hold the middle mouse button down, it pans. If you roll your mouse wheel in, forwards, it zooms in. If you roll it back, it zooms out. If you hold the right mouse button down, it'll rotate. Okay. Um, if you click this little gizmos button here, it's going to toggle the visibility of all the gizmos. So there's like, this scene has a camera and it has lights and it has objects, right? So you can turn that on and off so that you can select these things interactively to interact with them. So I just selected the camera. And then I can make changes to the camera, right? And unselect. Now the game view is the view that always happens. Um, hold on one second. Can I hold on? So the game view, sorry, the game view is what the actual camera view would be in the game. And this goes through the renderer. And so this is, if you actually hit the simulation button, if you hit play, it'll run this. And if there were dynamic lights or something happening, you would, all that, those effects and stuff would be applied now and you would see them. But because this is a very, very simple scene with one light, one camera, it's, you don't really see a difference. Okay, what do you need the camera for if you only work with materials and textures? Well, you need the camera, the game view, which is the view through that camera. Like I said, if you want to see what it actually is going to look like in the game. This has all of the full anti-aliasing you can see on the rendering, but in the scene view, it doesn't use quite. You turn the gizmos back off. Right? So not quite. This is optimized to run in real time, so it doesn't have all the anti-aliasing. Um, so you're going to mostly be working in scene view. Um, and to do most of your work. And then if you want to really try and get an idea of what it's going to look like in the game, you select the game view. 1 second. All right. So there's this concept then of scenes and then project assets, right? So here on the left, this hierarchy view, this is the view of a scene. So here, down here, is the project view, and the assets folder contains basically all of the artwork, all of the data used to make the game. And what you do, like, so there's 3D models down here, there's textures, there's bump maps, there's, well, more normals maps, there's animations, there's game code, there's 2D art, whatever, right? So there's this concept of scenes. Let me go to the scenes. So here's some scenes right here. And what it is you create a scene and then you drag assets from the asset folder up into the scene here, right? And so that's so that, like say you're creating a scene, would be like a nightclub. So you would drag the nightclub model in, then, oh, you want some NPC characters, some robots in there. So you would drag them into the scene from here, right? Back into the scene, so that you can have multiple scenes with multiple views, right? Oh, now I want to go to a football stadium, or like where we're at, sitting at right now, we're in a theater, a virtual theater, and I'm talking to you guys. Um, so that's what we're seeing here is the scene view. Okay. We can change the scene view as well. If I just double click on anything that has this little 3D box icon, I'm not going to save the changes. That's just the females only. If you see the outfits all, there's female and male. So if you click on, if you see this one, HF outfit 2, that's this model. Everything else is slightly ghosted. That's because everything else is made invisible in the scene at the moment. So if I turn this off, I come down to HF outfit 3, you can turn that on, then you can make changes and work on that, right? Come to outfit 4. What kind of a sweater dress with thigh, spike heel thigh hip boots or something. Little dress ensemble. Here's 6. Ooh, look, nice raincoat. Kind of kinky. 7. Little sweater outfit. And then we'll get down into the HM means male, H human male. There's some different, very different outfits to kind of mess around with. That's a cool outfit. So we'll go back here to number 2. Now, anytime you see an asterisk that appears to the right of the scene name, that means that something was changed in the scene, and you have to save the scene if you want to save that change. Okay, if you don't, like if I go from outfits all, which where we're at right now, and I go, let's go to outfits male, and I say don't save, the changes are lost. So, any questions on this stuff so far? Nope. Okay. So, um, we're going to go here now. We're going to go back. Now, this is the inspector tab, and the inspector tab will have all kinds of information about whatever the object is. Assuming it's a 3D model. So this controller here would be like an animation controller to make this avatar animate. These can't. These are just static models, but right. The avatar is like an avatar definition. So this stuff is kind of associated with animation, right? The animator. Now, if we look at individual elements, you can see this outfit's made up of a bikini top, canvas, shoes, and some low-rise denim shorts. If I select these so that they have the orange outline, then you see the individual model, right? And it has a material associated with it. Now, the material is a description. I mean, it's like uh, the equivalent of like a piece of clothing material, right? Or anything, but it's basically it's a collection of maps and settings that describe how the surface should be rendered, right? When it's rendered by the engine. Um, so in the case of red light center, um, you only have this map here, which is, there we go. It's the diffuse texture. They can call it the albedo. You just call it the texture map. Okay. So when you guys are doing stuff and you want to make something look shiny on one of your texture maps for a piece of clothing in red light center, you would do it at this map level. So you would, if you double click on an image on a image file in Unity, you could do it here too. It'll load it into Photoshop. Then if you make changes to it, you can overwrite the file, and it'll update the changes in Unity. But you can see here, like these things are perfectly white, right? These little studs that are in the material, but they don't look like that here. They look like they're dimensional, right? So let me go back to this. All right, um, so in this case, we're always going to use a shader, and a shader is basically an algorithm that describes to the renderer, how to interpret all this data to render what color the pixel is going to be, right? And we're always going to be using, for this project, at least to start for clothing, you're going to need to use the Universal Render Pipeline Lit shader. Okay, so the difference between using a shader versus just using a base map, like a diffuse texture, is that the shader really will allow your material and thus your model to react interactively to the light that's in the scene. So it provides a much more realistic, a much more dimensional, a much more visually higher fidelity visual uh, render of your model in the game. So um, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to talk about these different maps, unless there's any questions. Or any questions so far? And there's a bunch of different shaders, right? Here, just even in Universal Pipeline, it's got 2D shaders, nature shaders, particles, which can be particle effects. Unlit, then there's no lighting at all. It'll just be completely flat. Terrain, which we're not going to get into that. That's more pertinent for people that are into deco. So any questions? The shader is specified right here. And it's code. We could look at the code, but that would just be boring. I mean, there's a shader interface actually to write shaders too. So, any other questions about this stuff so far? And then, okay. All right. So the next map we're going to look at is called the metallic map. All right. And what this does is, damn it. Here, let me lock this. I'm going to lock this view so it stops popping out. Let's see. So there's the metallic map. So let's load him up in Photoshop. Now the metallic map, um, what it specifies is how bright, how shiny is the final render going to be based on the brightness of the pixel. So where the pixel is perfectly white or very white, it's then the material is going to look very shiny, right? So that's, you can see where those studs are in the pants. That's where it gets this kind of real nice shiny effect, right? And this, whereas the rest of the pants material, the pant material itself, it's not very shiny, right? So that's how you make that's how you kind of specify that. So if you wanted somebody to be wearing some kind of real shimmery, gold-looking thing type of outfit or material, um, then these pixels are going to be real bright, right? So let's go back here. The next thing I'm going to show you in terms of the shader is the normals map. Now the normal map, it it's going to kind of what it does is each pixel specifies a angle from perfectly perpendicular. So a normal map is based on, it's called a surface normal or a pixel normal, which is a vector that is perpendicular to a plane. So you know that computer models use triangles, right, at the base to specify like a 3D mesh. And the reason you use a triangle is a triangle has to be planar, right? You can't have two different angles on a triangle. You can with a quad. So then from that triangle, you can calculate a line, a vector, what they mean by that, that's perpendicular to that surface. It's 90 degrees to the surface. Let me screw around with this camera here real quick because I'm going to try and explain this better this time. But you can see clearly in this map where those studs are. There's kind of a little, uh, there's a little diamond pyramid kind of shape, right? And what you're seeing is that it's those colors are different and they represent a slightly different angle from the perpendicular. I'm gonna hold on one second. So I had this all turned off. Let me turn it back on. I'll try and explain this better. Um, okay, so let me stop sharing. Where is it? There it is. Stop sharing. And did it automatically just pick up the? Yeah. Okay. So let me get a pen. Okay. Let's see if you can see this. This is our polygon, or in this case, it could be a pixel, right? Instead of being a polygon, if you assume that the image is flat, right? This pen, too close. This pen, I don't know if you can see that. I have the light on in here. So this pen is like perpendicular, right, to the surface, right? That's a perfect vector normal, right? 90-degree angle, right? So what those different colors you're seeing on that normals map, what that's doing is it's saying no, the angle should be this, or the angle should be like this, or the angle should be like this, or the angle should be like this. And anytime that angle changes, it's going to react to the lighting differently, right? Because you have to imagine it's like if you're rotating something towards the light source versus rotating away, right? So that's what this is specifying. Let me go back to share my screen. Pull this out of here. So that's what this is kind of specifying. You can see the colors are a little bit different, right? So that's basically all a normals map is. Put this camera away. Put it on the floor. All right. That's what the surface the normals map is specifying. And you can create these from grayscale images. You could create it from an actual 3D model. Usually though, you're going to be doing it from a grayscale image, and there's tools. There used to be a tool in Photoshop, but it doesn't really work anymore. That'll convert a grayscale or a black and white image into a normals map. But there's some good free websites so you can do the same thing now. I included the URL um, for that website and the class materials. So are there any questions about normals maps? I'm going to come back and show you, actually demonstrate this again, how this kind of works. No questions? All right. So I'm going to come back to the scene here. We're going to look at the gizmos. Now remember what I told you, that the the difference between a shader and just a I, I'm not recording this. Plixton, are you recording this? What? Yeah, I'm not sure if this Jitsi is going to work because I use OBS Studio to screen record. I mean, I could screen record these, and we could just upload it to YouTube, automatically get the subtitles from that, and YouTube's got built-in subtitle translation. But I didn't record this session, so yeah, that might be a good idea. Yeah, we're covering a lot of stuff here. Okay, well, yeah, desculpe, Gisela. Uh, é, eu preciso mesmo problema com meu artistas in português. All right, so if you're recording in Filmora, I have no problem with you putting this stuff on YouTube. Personally, I don't know. Plixton might have some objections to that, but okay. Let's get back to this. So, yeah, I can show you that. I can show you that. Let me show you this first, and then we can look at that. The point is, though, is that the difference between just having a diffuse map and having a material, right? And that the material always reacts dynamically to the lighting as the lighting moves and as the object moves, right? It's the same thing. Specular highlights. It's a view dependent, right? It changes as the view changes. If you look like at a chrome bumper on a car and you walk around that, you can see the highlight changes and moves as your viewpoint changes, right? So that's what these shaders simulate, essentially. So let me move the slide over. So I came back to the scene view, the scene tab, and I turned gizmos back on, and I selected the light. Now, I could also just select the light here in the scene. You can't see it, but the little translate gizmo shows up, right? So, but let's turn gizmos on so we can kind of. Now, this is a directional light, so you can see it's aiming in a certain angle. And we let me do this. Let's move the slide over here. All right, we're going to go to the game view. Now we need to adjust the camera so we can see the, so I'm going back to the scene tab here. And then we're going to move this camera so we can really see these little studs change. So I'm going to come back up here to the rotate function. I'm going to rotate my camera around. Right, and then I'm going to go back to the translate and try and get in closer without. Misclicked. There, okay, we're getting too close. So you rotate up a little bit. Too close. Okay, so this, if we go down to the game tab, all right. All right, so where I was saying, you see this little kind of like diamond pattern here, specifying different angles. You can see that in the lighting here, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that light around. I'm just going to move the light around, and you'll be able to see how that affects the lighting on these studs. So I go back to the scene view. I'm going to jerk the scene view, get it to be a separate window. There it goes. All right. So we're going to go to the light. And I'm going to play. I'm going to hit play so it's running all this stuff, right? And we're not seeing any change, but let me try and do this. Rotate. You see how that works? Isn't that cool? I love this. Do it this way. All right. And it's really affecting the background. So here you can see exactly what I'm talking about. That this, this, let me move this down and try and get an up light going. There. You can see it's like everything's is dynamically affected, right? And you can see this is a lot shinier looking than everything around it. Okay, so let me stop this. Let me drag my scene tab back up here. Turn off gizmos. So yeah, there's the, let me show you how to make a normals map then. It was it was in the class stuff I sent to Plixton. Let me see. Let me find it. Oh God, where is that? Pull this over here. So that was in Tony Files, class 1. Okay. Bit shader. Oh, that's what a mess. Sorry. Do this again. Is that right? Yeah. Let me. So we'll do it. We'll do an example. Let's see. I'll go to another part of the demo. This is a tileable texture, tweed texture I found online. But let's say, hey, we have this, and I want to create a normals map from this, right? So we can duplicate the image, Tweed 2, tiling, normals. Let's just get rid of all the color. So it's just brightness. Turn saturation down. Let's save this as nope, we're here. Desktop, Unity, Outfits URP, Assets, Mail, Outfit 7, Avatar FBM. So we'll call it tiling normals, even though it's just black and white right now. Okay, so then we go to that website. Let me pull up a tab. All right, so this is the normal map online. There's several of these. GIMP has built-in normal map creation tools. There were creation tools for this in Photoshop, but they want you to buy Substance Painter now or Substance Creator. So if you don't want to do that, which I don't blame you, so we're going to treat it as a height map. So now where the hell did it? GPU powered. All right, download all, donate. So yeah, so we come here and select. I just clicked right here on their website and it popped this up. So we go back to desktop, Unity, outfits, assets, mail, outfit 7, textures. All right. We load our little black and white version we made from the color version. And look, boom, there you go. And then you can mess around, and change these, make it, sharper, harder, or less so. But I think I just kept stuff as at the default. So now it's asking us to save it. So we go back to desktop, Unity, outfits, assets, mail, textures. Call it Tweed to new. It's right there in the project. Does that answer your question for at least how to do a simple normals map from a grayscale? Okay. So, yeah, so then, oh, look, so there it is. It's in the project because I saved it in the same place. All right, let's go back. I want to go back to this material, though. Go back to her to keep going over the lit shader. So we've done the base color, the metallic, the normals map, right? So let's look at occlusion maps now. An occlusion map is a way to load that up. It's a way to make sure that if I want a certain area of my avatar or clothing or whatever to for sure be dark, to not be lit. You don't have to use Photoshop. You can use any image editing program you want. If it doesn't load correctly directly from Unity by double clicking on the image, right, in the Unity interface, what you can do is you go back to Unity and you go to where the materials are, where the actual textures are, and you can right click and say show and explorer, and it'll pop up an Explorer window. It popped up in another window, or over in my other monitor. I'm sorry, but it'll pop up directly wherever you are, right? And then you can load it, open it with GIMP. I guess I'm not a GIMP user, but so you can use any editing program you want. In fact, GIMP. There it is. I think GIMP's normal tools actually still work, but because I'm not like a real GIMP user, I just found that website easier and faster. Right? Yeah, you can use any. Yeah, Photoshop. It's a cool tool and everything, but it's expensive. And for a lot of what you guys are doing, maybe it's overkill. I don't know. Maybe not. Okay, so back to the shader thing. So we're gonna go back here. Okay, so we're talking about the occlusion map. I'm sorry, I got distracted. So, like this area, if you sometimes depending on the lighting in the scene, it'll blow everything out. So it's like to prevent like the insides of the avatars' mouths from being full bright, we use ambient occlusion. Same thing for the nostrils, inside of the nostrils. So you can think about an ambient occlusion map, kind of like um, adding a layer to a regular Photoshop image, but instead of being normal in terms of how you combine it, it's multiply. It's basically what it is. All right. Um, okay, now emissions maps. An emission map, that's here. You'll turn that on. This is you use the emission map if you want something to look like it's really glowing, like a piece of neon or something, right? And you usually don't use it for clothing. Um, although you can, I don't know, you can experiment with it and play around with it and see. Usually you would use it for something like a glowing sign or neon sign, but I'll show you. Let's talk about it. So this one doesn't have an emissions map. So I'm going to just reuse the metallic map. And the way I do that is just take it and drag it right there, right? You can see now it's kind of completely blown this out, right? And if you look in the game view, you can see there's a bloom happening here where it's so bright that we're getting a little bit of light bloom around the edges. So you can see this, set that, like, you know, we want our metallic studs to glow alluringly pink. So that's kind of emissions maps. It's no emissions. So are there any questions so far with the stuff? We're coming up right on an hour, so change the style of the shorts. Yeah, there's going to be a bunch of different shorts models, not just this. So if we go back to, yeah, no, we're still in character creator. If we go back here and go to cloth, pants. So here you can see these are what we're kind of playing with this one is what we're playing with right now. But some more shorts, some other shorts. These are different, have a slightly different UV layout. Uh, some crazy short shorts, pants, more shorts, even more shorts. So wristband smaller. I think to do those kind of changes would be you have to change the actual model geometry. Like if you want the shorts to be shorter, I wouldn't recommend. You can use alpha transparency with lit shaders. You can kind of do stuff that way. But in certain cases, to prevent the skin from poking through the clothing, the way we export this stuff is actually, and it's the same way that the clothing models work in Red Light Center Classic. The skin polygons that are underneath the clothing are deleted. So if you can't count on there being skin under there if you want to have like a translucent material on something. But I think it's totally something you'd be experimenting with. So any other questions about this so far? Emissions maps or normals maps or we're good? Okay. So, well, yesterday, man, we got deep in the weeds with tiling and offsets, and also, yeah, lady shy dragon. Yeah, I encourage you guys to play. Not, I'm not approaching this like with a cognitive approach of here's 300 pages of documentation, read through all of the tutorials for Unity, and then we have a class. I'm trying to show you guys just enough to kind of get in here and try things yourself and experiment. And then as you have questions, then you can Google them or you come back to class and ask me or Plixton. And it's that's the way I'd rather see you guys approach. Well, I don't know. That's what I'm assuming the kind of way to approach it because otherwise, who has 2 weeks to go? I mean, maybe that's the right way to do it. I don't know, but that's the approach I'm using. So, so we got kind of deep into the weeds on tiling and offset, which maybe we could just skip. I don't know. What do you want? What do you think, Plixton? And the same thing, we can get into detail maps and a mask map. Um, you can, but that's another thing it's a little more advanced, right? And you don't really need that stuff to make nice, really beautiful looking materials. I mean, there's situations, but I consider that kind of a more advanced shader subject. But I can go over that stuff if you want. So I don't know, Persis. I don't know, honestly. Uh, the sooner the better. I would 6 months to a year. I don't know. It's I'm pushing towards. We're pushing towards an alpha release here in a couple months. So, but the thing is even with a really nice interface inside of the game to like, oh, I want to experiment with materials and stuff. I think you guys still need to understand how these shaders work so that you can get the best results. Because otherwise, here. Let me turn stuff off so you can see. I'm just gonna. No, damn it. Click on the little circle here. You scroll all the way to the top. I'm just gonna turn everything off. Okay, there's none. Watch this normals map. What happens here when I turn it off? Everything went flat. See that? I'm going to turn off the occlusion map. Mission's already turned off. So as you can see, the surface is it's flat looking, right? It's much less dimensional and it's not going to react to dynamic lighting. I mean, it will at the polygon level because even if you don't have a normals map, then it gets the normal from calculating that from the triangle underneath. So even with if you guys had access to a cool beans interface, I think and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think you're going to need to know how to understand. Gee, what's a normal map? How can I create it? Oh, what's an ambient occlusion map? How can I use that? Um, so obviously, you're not going to be using Unity, but I thought this is still valuable stuff for you guys to know. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is a big mistake to offer this class because it's like I said, we're 6 months away probably from you guys being able to actually do stuff. And who knows then when the market opens? I hope it's sooner rather than later, but I can't really promise anything. So I don't know. I mean, at the very worst, you guys, you're learning Unity, so that opens up the potential for you to work on anybody's game development project or anything that um, uses Entity. And there's lots of games that use Entity. Unity. I'm sorry, not Entity. Unity. And hey, you'll know how you do this class, you'll know how to change materials and make custom materials. So I'm gonna go on to how to create your own kind of custom materials and just work on stuff. Unless there's any other questions. And then I screwed this all up. Oh God. All right. Well, I can fix this material again. So I got to go back to the scene view, select that. I'm going to click here. So then I want to put my normals map back in. What happened to my normals map? There it is. Let's just drag it in, drop it there, right? The metallic map. My metallic map is missing. Oh my Lord, what happened to the metallic map? What's going on here? Maybe I accidentally deleted it. Let me see. You save it from here again. That's completely crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Something strange happened. I'm like looking and there's like everything, all the textures should be here. All right, well, here's the thing. If things happen, magic starts to happen, I didn't delete those, I'm pretty sure. Here's what you can do. Here's what I suggest. Here's what I do. You just don't save anything, quit out, quit out. Nope. Let's go back here. We'll just flush it all down the commode. I would actually go through a long debug process if it wasn't for this class, but I don't want to waste your guys' time. It's not going to be fun watching me go, what did I do? All right, so I'm just going to re-extract this. Yeah, I got a little too crazy there. Usually when you click done, that should make no change, but then even when I was looking at it in Photoshop, it's went into this completely strange dimension. All right, well, let's go back. So we'll go back, open the project again. Take a couple minutes. So how's this seem? Does it seem too daunting? All right, let's go back here. Okay, so now we're going to get to the things that you guys do, right? And that's make new cool materials and stuff for clothing. Um, so the way I suggest you guys do this is you go down to where the material is, right? I've already done this, but I'll do it again and delete that. I'm deleting stuff again. I'll be going, oh, what happened? Where did it go? All right. So the first thing you want to do, I want to change. I want to make your own. You want to try this out. So the first thing is I would suggest is you duplicate the existing text material, existing material for the object, for the item of clothing. And the way to do that in Unity land is the Control D always duplicates objects. Control D. So I'm going to hit Control D. I'm going to go back in here and then hit Control D. And then it made a copy, right? And it pins a one. So we're going to change this to top. Yeah. Learn to type, Tony. Top. I'm losing it. Top Tony. Bikini. All right. Now it's selected, so it's over here on the inspector view, right? And it's like, oh, I want to change this diffuse texture. I'd like leopard skin. I'm going to lock here. So if I go over, I've already made a leopard skin texture before, right? Take that, we drag that in. Okay, so now I've customized my texture with my own diffuse component. Everything else is the same, right? So, but it's not applied to the scene. It's just the material I created down here in the asset folder. So to apply this to my model, I take it, I click it, and I drag it and I drop it. Boom, right? On the item of clothing. Now I could put that there, but it's not going to work right because the layout's not right. Or the shoes, right? So, and let's, just for fun, let's make this the metallic map too. I don't know what this is going to look like. Ooh, look at that. So now we got kind of shiny boobs. Who doesn't love that, man? So that's kind of cool. Maybe it's too metallic there, right? So you could adjust the metallic value here, and you could make the highlight more diffuse, which makes it seem less shiny, right? Remember I was telling you that this specular highlight, it's view dependent. So as you or this object moves around, it changes. Okay. Now I made that change to the scene. So now you can see outfits all. There's an asterisk, a little star that means something changed. And if I don't save the change right now, if I don't right click and say save scene, this change will be lost. Let me demonstrate that. So we go back to scenes. We're here, right? This is where we're at right now. If I want to go to outfits mail. It's going to say, do you want to save the changes made? Your changes will be lost if you don't save them. If you don't save, right? And then I come back. See, there's no asterisks here because nothing's been changed. If I go back to outfits all, right? Oh, my beautiful shiny breast material, my bikini material's missing. So, what you can do, you can save this scene if you want, or you can make a copy of this, duplicate this scene for your own. So I'm going to duplicate, Control D, with outfits all one, and I'm going to right click and select rename and say outfits Tony, right? And this is in this scene, I can make whatever changes, and I still have my original right here, right? So let's go there. Now we're in outfits Tony, right? And then we're going to go back to the materials, right? And here's my Tony top. So shiny, so beautiful. And all right, now I'm going to save this. Saved it. So no asterisks anymore, right? If I jump to another scene, but I come back there, it's still there. It's saved, right? Any questions about this? That's kind of a cool effect. You could probably. It looks like a game. Ooh, damn, it's shiny. Look at that bloom, man. It's blindingly shiny. It's a chrome. It's a chrome bikini, so that might be a little bit too much. Probably like if it's too much, then you go back to your HM outfits, and we're going to go to the outfit two. No, that's male. See, it's easy to get confused. Female HF outfit two. Okay, here it is. So I'm gonna put this in Photoshop. I don't want it's too shiny. Well, this is just I'll show you a workflow, right? That's too shiny. I like it, but it's too shiny. So this all the brighter this is, the more metallic, right? So let's just take this. We're going to duplicate this image. No, I'm just going to do a save as. So I'm going to change this. We're going to go to adjustments, brightness, contrast. Let's just, if we crank the brightness down, let's crank the brightness down some more. Ooh, look at that. You'll still have these little scintillating highlights. Okay, now let's say save as, because we don't want to overwrite our original diffuse texture, right? And we'll call this, instead of diffuse, call it metallic, right? Do that. Okay, so that's saved under a different name. So we go back to the material. There's our material. And now we're going to use our new metallic texture that we created. So let's see. If I drop that on here into metallic, see that? Immediately much less, but still super shiny up here. So this is where you're off to the races, right? You're hey, making adjustments. Oh, I like the way that looks. I don't like the way that looks. So make it, maybe if I made it less shiny, maybe make it more shiny. So I've already kind of done this for this outfit. I made some alternate materials. So you just take them, drag them, and drop them. So I want to go with shiny bikini and pink. That's my theme. So these are just same thing. I went to the texture, you know, and loaded it in Photoshop, made changes, saved it under a different name, uh, and save it in the right folder here, and then put it on my new material. And so there, let's save this change. And there we're golden, man. We can, let's go to the scenes. All right. Obviously, my fashion sense is so superior that I'm going to pat myself on the back. I'm just joking. I'm just trying to give you guys an example. Um, so the question from Lady Shy Dragon. So an asterisk changes the original. The asterisk just means that something changed, just to let you know that something changed in the scene, so that you have the option to save it. Okay, that's all the asterisk is the indication. Sultan X fashion. How can we apply an RLC mate? Well, um, at the moment you can't. There's no mechanism. That software isn't written yet. They're just talking about that stuff now, how they're going to do it. Ideally, what would make me happy is in the next month and a half, you guys go and start getting crazy making some materials. And if there's anything you'd want to have included in the initial alpha launch, I think Brian did mention that he would pay you guys. I don't know how much. Pay in Braze, I guess, for that. But there would have to be a review process. Now the thing is, this is kind of controversial. Me doing this class, I had to kind of talk them into it because they said the same thing. It's too early. You need to focus on the game. But I disagreed because I think you guys are passionate about this stuff. Obviously, you're here with me. You've been doing it for years. Been making money doing it. So, and I think you guys have a good fashion sense in many cases. So it'd be cool if we could make something like that happen. But that's a whole other discussion um, of how we make that work, how much money, etc. So I don't know. I don't know what you guys are where you're at with this, but at least that was my idea. So I thought we could at least try it. It was worth my time to try this, and hopefully you guys would find it real helpful. And I think I'm not going to go over the mask map and stuff for this class. And do you guys have any other questions about this? We can talk about and look at some other stuff. There's still a little bit of time. I've got 12 more minutes. You want to look at some deco stuff just for fun? Plixton, I think you'd like that, wouldn't you? Or you guys might be asleep too. Okay, I don't want to bore you. So, um, where do I go? Promo. Open the game. So I'm gonna show you guys some stuff now. I mean, I'd like to do another class on deco, and but it's the same exact situation. There's no deco in game yet. We're still talking about how to do it, how to enable it. But I have a lot of work that I'd like to have done that I just don't have time for. And it would be a great thing for you guys. The same thing, because there'll be deco like there was in Red Light Center. I mean, obviously we want to replicate that, but there's no reason, because we're dealing with Unity data, that you guys couldn't create anything you want outside of the limitations of whatever we implement for the game. And probably the initial deco stuff here. This music store is pretty cool. Let me show you something that's really cool. Let's go to the camera. There you go. So this is actual game, right? This is what it looked like in the game. I'm gonna run it. It's not going to make any difference, or is it? Maybe it will. Let's see. Oh, oh look! Oh, I didn't know you could move around. All right, so this is what interiors are going to look like, man, in the game. I don't know if you see. If I can move forward, yeah, I can move around. Right? It's the same thing, you know. Look at that. See that? You can see right there somebody's texture. Somebody has a metallic map there. See those shiny little stripes? Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think this stuff looks fucking cool. I mean, it's such very well done. So, um, I was thinking, look at that. And so, and the thing is, that's cool about this is that you guys know how to alter materials already. So you could get in something like this, and you could start changing materials around. You could start. Let me see if I can now. If I can get out of here, let's stop. Go to the scene view. Let's go. I'm gonna. Well, I'll just play around in here a little bit. All right. So let's go to the lamp. So if you select something in the hierarchy view of the scene and then hit F, automatically moves you over there. So here we're right back where we were. This is the scene view we all know and love. Let's look at this object here. Let's go back to the inspector. See if I can. Oh, look, there it is. Look, this is material. We come down here, and here's our base map. So let's load that into Photoshop. Let's see. Let's change this, right? Because you guys know how to change materials, right? I just explained that, and my explanation was so intensely, massively cool. Let's see. Let me see if I can get something over here. Hold on one second. So we go to. One second. Sorry. Why didn't that open in Photoshop? There we go. So we're going to change this image here real quick. Why isn't that up? What the hell? So here, watch me struggle with Photoshop. It's fun. Let's do this. Why isn't that working? I'm going to demonstrate here. If I could actually use Photoshop. Let me see. Quick and dirty. What the hell's going on here? Maybe somebody can tell me. I can't cut that out. Maybe I can do this. Oh, you know what? It did cut it. All right. Right? There you go. Bing, bang, boom. So you could retexture all this stuff. You can and there's all this material stuff you can play with. You can change. All right, so same things like you're doing deco. These particular we bought these right on the asset store. They're already really nicely set up. You can see the pre-baked lighting right there, but they're already really nicely set up as prefabs here, where they group stuff together. But you could still change it if you wanted to. Like maybe I don't know. Let's see. There's that. We go sofa top cover. Yeah, it's a big chunk, but it's this. Oh no! Don't do that. This kind of interface is kind of similar. I mean, you'd be clicking on a button, right, in the prop editor to ding, 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 right? So, um, but it's pretty much the same thing you guys are familiar with, right? Oh, I don't want this lamp here. I want it over here, right? I don't know. It's the whole deco thing, but you could totally move this stuff around, completely reorganize this space to be how you want it to be. There's also a bedroom somewhere around here. Let me see. I don't get lost. Or there was. Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of one of the other ones. But what I was thinking, if we do this class, is I just require you guys to buy this asset so you have a copy of it. I think it's $27 or something. It's not very much money. Here, let me show you some other scenes. But I'm assuming that once the software is written, all this stuff will be it'll be something functionally equivalent to what we have in Red Light Center, which is you have a space and you can. Let's look at this one. We're not going to save, even though I did change that texture. Let's see if we load this. This one's cool. Let's run this. This is a beautiful space. Look at this. So, and I mean, ultimately, you guys could be doing anything. You could be importing your own custom geometry. Let me change the lighting. But there's already these lighting presets. Right? Check that out. Nighttime, kind of like that one. You can turn these lights on and off. Mouse is way too sensitive. Same thing. These things are just prop objects that you can move around. Make any changes you want. I don't like this chair. Let's get rid of it. FU chair. Oh, this couch. Somebody had poor taste. See you later. Right? So you could do it kind of at this level, and it's very manual, but you have complete total control. So I don't know. Again, it's one of these things. I know that we're going to allow people that open franchises, they call them sovereigns now, to import this kind of stuff where it's like anything they want, right? So I don't know. I could do a class like this. I don't know if it'd be useful or not. I need to talk to Brian and the main developers at Nifty Media, and so we get another idea. But yeah, everything that's in, I mean, the whole plan is at least is we're going to replicate all the functionality that's in Red Light Center Classic. But personally, I want to go to the next level to because this stuff is just Unity assets, right? To allow greater types of customization, creative control by you guys and stuff. So, yep, I'm out of time. So, is there any other questions here? We'll have one more class on Friday. If anybody, is able to try and put a different texture on stuff, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. So, hold on, I'm gonna have to close this off. Max. Um, so here, let me go back to the camera. Let's see if that's still running. Is that still running? Let's see if the camera's still running. Well, there's last few questions here, and then we'll reconvene you on Friday. Yeah, I gave you guys homework. I gave you homework yesterday too. Um, let me see if I go back to where is my stop sharing? There we go. Didn't see any more cock-ring comments coming up from my co-developers. Um, let's see, maybe the camera's turned off. Yeah. Okay. You tried. Okay. You hit some. You had some problems though, Lady Shy Dragon. I'm not. I didn't want to volunteer Chago Uncensored's time, but Chago Uncensored's rather expert at Unity at this point. You could ask him too. Desculpe, Chago. You can, if you're using Jitsu, if you're logged directly into Jitsu, I think you can share your screen. I can allow you to share your screen with the rest of the class. You just have to promise no surprise furry dick pics or anything like that. Um, at least I'd like to show mine first. So yeah, you really missed it, man. It got really demented here. Okay, I can see you. Want me to share you? Wearing white headphones, white headset. Let me see. What do I do here? Let me make this full screen again. Get this out of the way. Ugh. Let's see. Mute, disable. Yeah, I don't know. Can you guys see that? Let's see. I can't see the screen. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Here you are. There's Holly. Okay, so then unless there's any other last questions, I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm sure you got plenty of stuff to go try out and have fun with and play. I really encourage you to help each other if possible. I know that there's a big community thing that goes on with Red Light Center. I don't know how cohesive the closet community is, or if you guys are all super competitive. I don't, I don't know. I'm all about the love here. Okay, there's no other questions. Then I guess I'll. Yeah, yeah, man. That's what we're here for. We're here to play. We're here to meet people. It's a wonderful thing. I never realized when I started my franchise how important it was as a service to help people connect with other people. So that's why I'm here talking to you guys. Okay, then. So then I'll see you guys on Friday at the same time and the same VWWRL. Okay. Okay, guys. My pleasure. All right, then. I'll see you guys.